Well, that's exactly what happened to Sophia Clark. Not only did she sit at the wrong table during a blind date, but she also had no idea that the man in front of her was a billionaire. Sophia had a busy day. She worked as a waitress at a bustling restaurant downtown, trying to make enough money to pay the bills and take care of her younger brother, Jake. Life wasn't easy for her, but she was the kind of person who held her head high every day, even when everything seemed to go wrong. So when her best friend, Rachel, insisted that she go on a blind date, Sophia thought it might be a good idea. Give fate a chance, breathe something different for a few hours. But, of course, fate has a peculiar way of playing with us. At the restaurant, nervous and distracted, Sophia looked around for someone who matched the description Rachel had given her. A tall guy, brown hair, blue shirt, Rachel had said. Seemed simple, right? Wrong. When Sophia saw a man sitting alone at a nearby table, wearing a blue shirt and looking lost in thought, she didn't hesitate. She pulled out the chair and sat down, smiling shyly. The man looked up, surprised, but quickly returned the smile. It was Alex Carter. Yes, that Alex Carter, the billionaire whose name appeared in newspapers and business magazines. But Sophia didn't know that yet. To her, he was just an ordinary guy, maybe a little more charming than expected. They started talking, and it was as if the world around them disappeared. He talked about music, books, and places he wanted to visit. She shared funny stories from work, making him laugh in a genuine way, something he hadn't done in a long time. Meanwhile, Sophia's actual blind date, an accountant named Brian, waited patiently at another table, growing more confused by the minute. But Sophia didn't notice. She was completely absorbed in the conversation with Alex. He was captivating, intelligent, and somehow managed to make her forget all her worries. When Alex casually asked what she did for a living, Sophia answered without hesitation. "I'm a waitress," she said, without a trace of shame. Alex seemed impressed, not by the profession, but by the way she carried herself with dignity. However, something strange happened. During their conversation, Alex received a phone call. He apologized and stepped away from the table for a few minutes. When he returned, there was something different in his gaze. He seemed distant. Sophia noticed, but decided not to comment. After all, she barely knew him. What she didn't know was that the phone call had everything to do with her. Something about a multi-million-dollar theft, a rival company, and secrets that were about to come to light. When the date ended, Sophia went home deep in thought. There was something special about Alex, something she couldn't quite explain. But at the same time, she felt like there was something he wasn't telling her. Would she discover the truth? Or did fate have other surprises in store for her? After that unexpected encounter at the restaurant, Sophia couldn't get Alex off her mind. He had been kind, interesting, and above all seemed genuinely interested in her. But there was something more, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. It was as if he was hiding something, but at the same time, that only added to the mystery. Meanwhile, Alex was also thinking about Sophia. He couldn't stop replaying the way she spoke, laughed, and even rolled her eyes when telling stories about difficult customers at the restaurant. She was authentic, something he hadn't seen in a long time. And that intrigued him, but Alex knew he had to be careful. He couldn't just reveal who he really was. Not yet. The next day, Alex decided to take a step forward. He sent Sophia a message inviting her for coffee. "Just to thank you for the great conversation," he wrote, trying to sound casual. Sophia hesitated for a moment. After all, that meeting at the restaurant had been a mistake, right? But then again, she had enjoyed talking with Alex, so why not? They scheduled the meeting for late afternoon at a small and discreet cafe, far from the spotlight that usually surrounded Alex. When Sophia arrived, he was already there, sitting at a table near the window. He smiled when he saw her walk in, and Sophia felt butterflies in her stomach. That strange feeling of butterflies flying inside you, she thought as she approached. The conversation flowed naturally, as if they had known each other for years. Alex asked about her brother, Jake, and Sophia talked about the challenges of raising someone so young while trying to balance adult life. "It's not easy, but I'd do anything for him," she said with a tone of determination in her voice. Alex admired that about her. He had never met anyone so resilient. But, of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. During their meeting, Alex received another call. He stepped away from the table again, and Sophia began to feel like something was off. When he returned, he looked tense but tried to hide it. "Work problems," he muttered evasively. Sophia nodded, but she tucked that thought away in the back of her mind. Something didn't add up. Later, as she walked home, Sophia decided to do a little research. She typed Alex Carter into her phone without much expectation. But what came up made her heart race. Pictures of him at luxurious events, headlines about his billionaire fortune, and articles about his business achievements. Sophia was stunned. "Is this Alex the same Alex I met?" she wondered, confused. She decided to confront him. The next day, she sent a short and direct message. "Can we talk? I need to clear something up." Alex, realizing the game was about to change, quickly responded, "Sure, we can meet tonight." When they met again, Sophia got straight to the point. "Are you Alex Carter, the billionaire?" she asked without beating around the bush. Alex sighed, knowing there was no way out. "Yes, that's me," he admitted, "but I wanted you to know me for who I am, not for my money." Sophia was torn. On one hand, she felt betrayed. On the other, she understood that he had his reasons. But something still didn't make sense. Why was he so interested in her? Was there something more behind all of this? Meanwhile, Alex knew he needed to tell her more. But how far could he go without putting Sophia in danger? The game was just beginning. Sophia couldn't stop thinking about the revelation. Alex was a billionaire. That man who seemed so simple, so approachable, was actually one of the most powerful men in the business world. She tried to process it all as she walked home after their tense meeting. "How did I not see it?" she thought, frustrated with herself. But at the same time, there was something about Alex that made her want to trust him. He didn't seem like the arrogant or flashy type she imagined billionaires to be. The next day, Sophia was at work, distracted, when a strange man entered the restaurant. He wore an expensive suit and dark sunglasses, and he seemed to be looking for someone. When his eyes met Sophia's, he walked straight up to her. "Are you Sophia Clark?" he asked, his voice low and controlled. Sophia hesitated, but confirmed. The man handed her an envelope and said only, "This might interest you." Before she could ask any questions, he had already left the restaurant. Curious and a little scared, Sophia opened the envelope during her break. Inside were old documents and a faded photo of her father standing next to a man she didn't recognize. There was also a newspaper clipping about a company called Vanguard Tech, mentioning a financial scandal involving millions of dollars. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. Her mind began piecing things together. Her father, who had passed away years ago, had worked for that company before his sudden death. She always knew he had been struggling financially, but she never understood why. Later, Sophia decided to call her aunt, the only family member who still knew anything about her father's past. After much insistence, her aunt revealed that her father's debts had been mysteriously paid off by an anonymous person shortly before his death. "We never found out who it was," her aunt said, her voice tinged with sadness. Sophia felt a lump in her throat. This couldn't be a coincidence. Meanwhile, Alex was in his office, surrounded by papers and computer screens. He was investigating the multi-million-dollar theft that had occurred at the rival company Vanguard Tech. Something about the case didn't add up. Money had been siphoned off for years, but no one could identify who was behind it. Alex suspected someone close, perhaps even someone within his own team. And now, with Sophia suddenly appearing in his life, he began seeing connections that hadn't made sense before. When Sophia sent Alex a message saying she needed to talk urgently, he knew things were about to get more complicated. They arranged to meet at the same discreet cafe where they had met before. Sophia showed Alex the documents, explaining what she had discovered. Alex listened carefully, his expression changing several times. He knew this was bigger than just the two of them. "I think your father was unknowingly involved in this," Alex finally said. "And whoever is behind it is probably using you to get to me." Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. She didn't want to believe it, but everything made sense. The man at the restaurant, the documents, Alex's mysterious phone calls. It was as if she had fallen into a web of secrets without realizing it. Alex promised to help her uncover the truth, but he made it clear that it could put her in danger. "If you want to walk away from this now, I understand," he said sincerely. Sophia looked at him for a long moment. She knew she should run, but something inside her told her to stay. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was instinct, or maybe it was something deeper. The two decided to move forward together, but now they knew they were dealing with something much bigger than a simple misunderstanding at a blind date. Every step they took seemed to bring them closer to answers, but also closer to unknown dangers. Meanwhile, someone was watching them from a distance, waiting for the right moment to act. Sophia and Alex began working together to unravel the mystery that seemed to involve both her past and his present. But with every new clue, more questions arose than answers. Sophia was determined to uncover the truth about her father and why he had been dragged into that scandal. On the other hand, Alex wanted to expose whoever was behind the theft at Vanguard Tech, even if it meant confronting powerful and dangerous people. They always met at the same discreet cafe, far from prying eyes. It was like a refuge where they could speak openly without fear of being overheard. But even there, Sophia felt like they were being watched. She started noticing strange little details. A person lingering on the street corner for too long, a car parked in the same spot every day, a shadow that disappeared quickly when she looked back. Am I becoming paranoid? She wondered, but something inside her told her it wasn't just her imagination. One afternoon, while going through the documents Sophia had received, Alex found something that made his blood run cold. It was an old bank transfer, dated just a few months before Sophia's father died. The money had been sent to an anonymous account, but the name of the final beneficiary was clear: Carter Enterprises, Alex's company. He sat in silence for a moment, trying to process it. How was Sophia's father connected to his family? And why had he never known about this? "Sophia, I need to show you this," Alex said hesitantly. He knew this could change everything between them. Sophia took the papers, and her eyes widened when she saw the name of Alex's company. "What does this mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex explained that he had no idea how this had happened, but he promised to investigate further. Sophia wanted to believe him, but a small part of her began to question his intentions. What if he had known about this from the beginning? What if he had only pretended to be interested in her to protect his own secrets? Doubts began to grow in Sophia's mind. She started noticing things she had previously ignored. The mysterious calls Alex received, the moments when he seemed distant, the sudden meetings he had to attend. Everything seemed suspicious now. She decided to confront him again, this time with more firmness. "Alex, did you know about this from the start?" she asked, clutching the papers tightly. "Did you use me to get to something?" Alex was shocked by the accusation. "No, Sophia, I swear I didn't know anything about this until today," he replied sincerely. "I want to help you find the truth, but you need to trust me." Sophia wanted to believe him, but it was hard. She felt like she was being pulled in two directions: the trust she felt for Alex and the growing suspicion inside her. Meanwhile, someone was moving pieces behind the scenes. The man from the restaurant appeared again, this time in front of the building where Sophia lived. He left another envelope in her mailbox. Inside was a recent photo of Sophia and Alex together, with a handwritten note: "Stay away from him, or you'll regret it." Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. Whoever it was, they were watching her every move. She showed the message to Alex, who became furious. "This is serious, Sophia. You're in danger because of me," he said with genuine concern. "Maybe it's better if you step away from all of this." Sophia shook her head. "No, Alex, I need to know the truth about my father, about you, about everything." But deep down, Sophia was torn. She decided to take a step back, at least temporarily. She told Alex she needed space to think, and he reluctantly agreed. "I understand," he said, a tone of defeat in his voice. "But know that I'll keep investigating this, with or without you." Sophia went home, feeling alone for the first time in weeks. She knew she was walking a thin line between truth and paranoia. But something inside her told her the answer was close, very close. Meanwhile, Alex began following leads on his own. He knew Sophia was in danger, and it was eating him up. But he also knew that something much bigger was at stake, something that could change everything for both of them. Someone was about to make a fatal mistake. Sophia was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. She wanted to trust Alex, but the doubts kept growing inside her. Every new clue seemed to take her further from the truth, while simultaneously pulling her deeper into a labyrinth of secrets. She knew she had to make a decision: follow her instincts or turn her back on everything. But how could she give up now when so many questions remained unanswered? Meanwhile, Alex was determined to prove his innocence and his loyalty. He spent days combing through the financial records of Carter Enterprises, trying to find any connection between the company and Sophia's father. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack, but he wasn't about to give up. "If I want to regain her trust, I need to figure this out," he thought as he pored over old documents. One night, while working late in his office, Alex found something that made his heart race. It was a contract signed by a former partner of Carter Enterprises, someone named Richard Hale. The name wasn't familiar to Alex, but there was something odd about the signature on the document. It looked forged. He decided to dig deeper and discovered that Richard Hale had been ousted from the company years ago after being accused of fraud. But before leaving, he had created a network of shell companies used to siphon off money. Alex realized he had found the missing link. Richard Hale wasn't just involved in the theft at Vanguard Tech. He also seemed connected to Sophia's father. "This is bigger than I imagined," Alex muttered to himself. He knew he needed to tell Sophia, but he also knew she might not believe him. He needed concrete proof. The next day, Alex decided to visit Sophia. He showed up at the restaurant where she worked, waiting for the right moment to talk to her. When they finally got a moment alone, Alex handed her a folder with all the documents he had uncovered. "I know you're suspicious of me, and I understand," he said sincerely. "But this might explain everything." Sophia hesitated for a moment, but eventually accepted the papers. She began flipping through them, her eyes widening with each page. There were bank transfers, names of shell companies, and even an old photo of Richard Hale standing next to her father. "How is this possible?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex explained that Richard Hale was the link between their two worlds, her past and his present. But before they could continue talking, something unexpected happened. A man entered the restaurant wearing a dark suit and sunglasses. He walked straight up to the table where Sophia and Alex were sitting. "You two need to stop digging into this," he said in a low, threatening voice, "or you'll regret it." Before they could react, he threw an envelope onto the table and quickly left. Inside the envelope was a single photo, a grainy image of Jake, Sophia's younger brother, getting into an unfamiliar car. "What does this mean?" Sophia asked, panic rising in her chest. Alex tensed up. "They're trying to get to you through him," he said angrily. "This isn't going to end like this." Sophia felt her world crumble. She had always put Jake's safety first, and now he was caught up in this mess. "What are we going to do?" she asked, tears welling up in her eyes. Alex took her hands firmly. "We're going to fix this together," he promised. "But you need to trust me." The two decided to act quickly. Alex used his contacts to track the car Jake had gotten into, while Sophia tried to stay calm. They knew they were dealing with dangerous people, but they also knew they couldn't back down now. Later, Alex discovered that the car belonged to one of Richard Hale's shell companies. This confirmed his suspicions. Hale was behind everything. But before they could come up with a plan, Sophia received another anonymous message. "Come alone to the abandoned warehouse on 12th Street at 11 p.m. If you bring anyone, your brother will pay the price." Sophia knew it was a trap, but she had no choice. She had to save Jake no matter the cost. Alex insisted on coming along, but she was firm. "No, Alex, they'll hurt him if you show up," she said with determination. Alex tried to argue, but Sophia had already made up her mind. When she arrived at the warehouse, everything was dark and silent. She moved forward slowly, her heart pounding. Suddenly, lights flickered on, and she saw Jake sitting in a chair, tied up. But before she could run to him, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Richard Hale. "You shouldn't have meddled in this, Sophia," he said with a cold smile. "Now, you'll pay for your father's mistake." Sophia felt the air leave her lungs as she watched Richard Hale emerge from the shadows. He was smiling as if he were enjoying her fear. "Did you really think you could meddle in something this big without consequences?" he asked, taking a step forward. Sophia tried to stay calm, but her heart was pounding. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice trembling. Hale chuckled, a cold sound that echoed through the empty warehouse. "I want you to understand the weight of your choices," he said, gesturing toward Jake, still tied to the chair. "Your father made a deal with me years ago, and now you're going to pay his debt." Sophia frowned, confused. "My father? He didn't owe anything to anyone." Hale shook his head, as if disappointed by her ignorance. "Oh, but he did. He knew too much about the operations at Vanguard Tech, and when he tried to leave, well, let's just say he paid the price." The words hit Sophia like a punch to the gut. "I have nothing to do with this," she said, trying to buy time. "This is between you and my father, not me." Hale smiled again, but this time there was something more dangerous in his expression. "You're wrong, my dear. You have everything to do with it. You and that handsome billionaire you've been meeting." The mention of Alex hung in the air like a silent threat. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. "What does Alex have to do with this?" she asked, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Hale shrugged. "Let's just say he's digging holes where he shouldn't be. And now, thanks to you, he's about to uncover things that could ruin everything I've built." Suddenly, bright lights flooded the warehouse. It was Alex, jumping out of a car with determination, holding a phone, recording everything. "Let her go, Hale," he said firmly. Hale laughed, but there was nervousness in his tone now. "Do you really think you can catch me like this? This is bigger than you can imagine." Alex moved slowly, keeping the phone pointed at Hale. "Maybe it's bigger than me, but that doesn't mean you're getting away with it." Hale hesitated, torn between anger and fear. Then he pulled Sophia closer, using her as a human shield. "Take one more step, and I swear she'll get hurt." Jake, seizing the moment of distraction, managed to free himself from the ropes and pushed Hale with all his strength. Sophia broke free, running toward Alex. Sirens began to wail in the distance, and blue and red lights flooded the warehouse. Alex had called the police before arriving. Hale looked around, realizing he was cornered. "This isn't over," he shouted before being handcuffed by the officers. Sophia hugged Jake tightly, relieved that he was safe. Alex stood watching everything, still holding the phone that had recorded the entire scene. "It's over," he said finally, looking at Sophia. But she knew there was still so much to resolve. What else would they uncover about her past? And how would it affect everyone's future? Sophia and Alex drove in silence, the sound of the engine being the only noise in the car. The road ahead was dark, lit only by the headlights that cut through the night like blades of light. Sophia stared out of the window, watching the trees pass quickly by as her mind spun with confused thoughts. "Where are we going?" she finally asked, unable to contain her curiosity. "To a safe place," replied Alex without taking his eyes off the road. "Someone who can help us. Someone who knows Victor Lang better than anyone." Sophia frowned, but didn't insist. She knew Alex was trying to protect her, but the uncertainty about who this person was made her uneasy. After almost an hour's drive, they arrived at an isolated house in the middle of a dense forest. The lights were off, and everything seemed too quiet. Alex turned off the car and motioned for Sophia to stay put. He got out first, checking his surroundings before beckoning her to follow him. Sophia picked up her bag and walked after him, feeling the weight of tension in the air. They knocked on the door, and after a few seconds, a tall, bearded man appeared. He had piercing eyes and a cautious posture, as if he was always ready to react. "Alex?" he asked, surprised. "What are you doing here?" Alex nodded quickly. "We need your help. Marcus." "It's urgent." Marcus frowned, but opened the door for them to enter. As soon as they were inside the house, he locked the door and pulled the curtains over the windows. "Who is she?" he asked, pointing at Sophia. Alex quickly explained the situation, mentioning Victor Lang and the danger they were both in. Marcus listened intently, his serious face reflecting the gravity of the situation. "You know what you're asking, right?" said Marcus, crossing his arms. "If Lang finds out I'm involved, I'm dead." Alex nodded. "I know, but you're the only person who can help us now." Marcus hesitated for a moment, but finally sighed. "All right, I'll help, but it won't be easy." Marcus began to explain what he knew about Victor Lang. He had worked for Lang years ago, but left when he realized how corrupt the man was. Since then, he had lived in hiding, avoiding any connection with the corporate world. "Lang has eyes and ears everywhere," said Marcus, pouring coffee for the three of them. He uses people like chess pieces. If you want to stand up to him, you need to be smarter." Sophia listened carefully, absorbing every detail. "But how can we expose him?" she asked, eager for a solution. Marcus looked at her thoughtfully. "You need to find something he can't hide. Something big enough to destroy his reputation completely." He suggested they look through Lang's old company records, where they would probably find evidence of his illegal operations. While they were discussing the plan, Sophia noticed something strange. There was a laptop on the table, its screen flickering slightly. "What's that?" she asked, pointing at the device. Marcus looked at the laptop and frowned. "That is a tracker," he said, alarmed. "Someone's found us." Before they could react, they heard a noise coming from outside the house. Heavy footsteps echoed through the yard, and soon after, someone knocked hard on the door. "Open the door," shouted a hoarse voice from the other side. Alex and Marcus exchanged worried glances. "They're here," muttered Marcus, reaching for a revolver hidden in a drawer. "We can't take them on," said Alex quickly. "We need to go out the back." Sophia felt panic rising inside her, but knew there was no time to hesitate. They ran into the kitchen, where there was a door that led into the forest. Marcus stayed behind, promising to distract the intruders while Alex and Sophia escaped. "Go!" shouted Marcus before closing the door behind them. Sophia and Alex ran through the dark forest, tripping over roots and branches. The sound of gunfire echoed in the distance, making Sophia cringe with fear. "They're going to kill him," she shouted, looking back. Alex held her hand tightly. "We can't go back now." Marcus knew the risk he was taking. They kept running until they reached a side road where Alex had hidden another car. He started the vehicle, and they set off quickly, leaving the forest behind. Sophia looked at Alex, her eyes full of tears. "What are we going to do now?" she asked, her voice breaking. Alex took a deep breath before answering. "We're going to carry on. For Sophia, for Marcus, and for all the people Lang has hurt. We can't give up now." Sophia felt the weight of everything that had happened pressing down on her chest as Alex drove in silence along the dark road. The adrenaline from their escape still coursed through her veins, but now, with the temporary calm, emotions began to overflow. She looked at Alex, who kept his eyes fixed on the road, his expression serious and distant. "Do you think Marcus is okay?" she finally asked, breaking the silence. Alex hesitated before answering. He knew the chances of Marcus escaping unscathed were slim, but he didn't want to increase Sophia's fear any further. He knew what he was getting into. Alex said, his voice controlled but laced with concern. "Marcus is smart. He'll find a way out of this." Sophia nodded, trying to convince herself that he was right. But deep down, she knew things wouldn't be so simple. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. Alex took a deep breath before responding. "We need to find something that can destroy Lang once and for all. Something he can't hide, like Marcus said." He glanced quickly at Sophia, his eyes reflecting determination. "But we need to be careful. Lang won't stop until he silences us." Sophia agreed, but there was something she needed to get off her chest. "Alex, I need to know the truth," she said hesitantly. "Why are you doing all this? Why are you risking so much for me?" Alex fell silent for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. "I've already told you before, Sophia," he began, his voice soft but firm. "When I met you, I saw something different in you, something real. And the more I learn about you, the more I realize I can't give up. Not just because you deserve justice, but because I care about you." The words came out hesitantly, but sincerely. Sophia felt a pang in her heart. She wanted to believe him, but there were still so many unanswered questions. "You trusted me from the beginning, even when I didn't deserve it," Alex continued, his voice gaining strength. "Now, it's my turn to prove that your trust wasn't misplaced." Sophia looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. She wanted to say something, but the words seemed stuck in her throat. Instead, she simply nodded, feeling a mix of relief and gratitude. They drove in silence for a few more minutes until they reached a small town by the edge of a lake. Alex parked the car in front of an isolated cabin. "We'll stay here for now," he said, scanning the area to make sure they were alone. "It's safe for now." Inside the cabin, Sophia began going through the belongings Alex had brought with him. Among documents and old papers, she found something that caught her attention. An old photo of Alex standing next to a man she immediately recognized. It was Victor Lang. "You know Lang personally?" she asked, surprised, showing the photo to Alex. Alex sighed, knowing there was no way to hide it anymore. "Yes, I know him," he admitted reluctantly. "We did business together in the past, but I never realized how dangerous he was until recently." Sophia frowned, trying to process the information. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I knew you might doubt me," Alex said honestly. "I wanted to protect you, Sophia, but now I realize that hiding it only made things worse." Sophia looked at him for a long moment, trying to decide whether to trust him again. Finally, she nodded. "All right, we'll keep moving forward together, but no more secrets." The two spent the rest of the night analyzing the documents they had brought. They found references to a secret bank account that seemed directly linked to Victor Lang. "This could be what we're looking for," Alex said, excited. "If we can access this account, we can expose all of his illegal operations." But before they could fully form a plan, they heard a noise coming from outside the cabin. Light footsteps, almost imperceptible, echoed through the yard. Alex grabbed a flashlight and signaled for Sophia to stay quiet. He slowly walked toward the door, ready to face whatever was out there. When he opened the door, he was met with an unexpected figure. Marcus. He was injured with cuts on his face and hands, but alive. "They're coming," Marcus said, breathless. "Lang knows where you are." Marcus stumbled into the cabin, limping and with deep cuts marking his face. Sophia rushed to him, helping him sit down in a nearby chair. "What happened?" she asked, worried, as Alex brought a damp cloth to clean the older man's wounds. Marcus was breathing heavily, but his eyes still shone with determination. "They followed me," Marcus said, gasping for air. "Lang knows you're here. He won't stop until he finds you." Alex frowned, realizing time was running out. "How much time do we have?" he asked, straight to the point. Marcus hesitated before answering. "Not much. Maybe a few hours, tops." Sophia felt her heart race. She knew they had to act fast, but she also knew that any misstep could cost them dearly. "What do we do now?" she asked, looking at Alex. He thought for a moment, his mind working quickly. "We use what we've got," he said, pointing to the documents scattered across the table. "If we can access that secret bank account, we can expose Lang publicly. But we need to do it before he gets to us." The three of them began working together, analyzing every detail in the documents. Marcus, despite his injuries, used his old skills to decipher codes and hidden passwords in the papers. Sophia and Alex took turns going through the records and monitoring the area around the cabin, watching for any suspicious movement. Finally, after hours of tense work, they managed to access Victor Lang's secret account. It was exactly what they were looking for. Clear evidence of illegal transactions, bribes, and fraudulent operations directly linking Lang to large-scale corporate crimes. "This is enough to destroy him," Alex said. a mix of relief and triumph in his voice. But before they could celebrate, they heard the unmistakable sound of tires screeching outside the cabin. Sophia ran to the window and saw several cars pulling up quickly, armed men jumping out of them. "They're here," she shouted, alarmed. Alex knew there was no time to escape. They had to act immediately. "Sophia, take your phone and send this evidence to every news outlet and authority you can," he said, handing her the laptop with the incriminating files. "Marcus and I will hold them off for as long as we can." Sophia hesitated, but she knew there was no other option. "Be careful," she said, tears in her eyes. While Sophia frantically sent the documents to different media channels, Alex and Marcus positioned themselves at the entrance of the cabin, ready to face the intruders. Lang's men stormed the place, but Alex and Marcus fought bravely, buying precious minutes for Sophia to complete her task. Finally, she managed to send all the evidence. Moments later, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. The police were arriving. Lang's men began retreating, realizing they were cornered. Alex and Marcus collapsed onto the floor, exhausted but alive. When the dust settled, Sophia hugged Alex and Marcus tightly, relieved they were safe. Authorities arrested Victor Lang and his accomplices in the hours that followed, exposing his criminal activities to the world. Sophia's name and her family's was finally cleared, and she could begin rebuilding her life. Days later, Sophia and Alex were sitting on a bench by the lake, watching the sunset. "You did all of this for me," Sophia said, looking at him with gratitude. Alex smiled, holding her hand. "I'd do it all over again without thinking twice." Sophia knew there were still emotional scars to heal, but for the first time in a long while, she felt hope. Together, they had faced the impossible and won.